8 Joe Biden scandals inside Hunter Biden's MacBook that corporate media just admitted is legit. You know, a lot of this stuff I went over a year ago, but it's good to touch bases on a lot of this information, and a lot of people probably forgot. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out. Also, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I put out new stuff. Also, check out my Patreon. It's in the description. Just click on my link tree, and I talk about things where I can't talk about here. Also, check out my merch store where we have Let's Go Brandon T-shirts, I Will Not Comply T-shirts, all types of T-shirts. All right, let's talk about this news. These scandals are no longer just about Hunter Biden. They're about now President Joe Biden, and we need answers. Last week, the New York Times quietly acknowledged that the emails recovered from the MacBook Hunter Biden abandoned at a Delaware computer store were authentic. The admission came nearly a year and a half late, after the corrupt media legacy and social buried the scandal the New York Times broke just weeks before the November election. Merely admitting the laptop is legitimate is not enough. Rather, by concurring in the authenticity of the laptop and the emails, the supposed standard bearers of journalism have also implicitly acknowledged the validity. I'm sorry, I use the word a lot and still struggle saying it, but the validity, sorry, of the scandals spawned by the porn-filled MacBook. And notwithstanding the salacious source of the documentary evidence of the scandals are not about Hunter Biden. They're about now President Joe Biden. And that's why you see Jen Psaki deflecting and saying that when they asking questions about the laptop, she's deflecting saying, well, Hunter Biden doesn't work for the United States government. Well, his father does. So that makes it important. And I don't know why she's trying to downplay it. Well, we understand why she's trying to downplay it. But here are the 8 Joe Biden scandals deserving further coverage. 1, pay to play in Ukraine. And I've done tons of videos on the whole play to pay thing with Joe Biden. It should be, if you go to my Odyssey, the link on my link tree should take you to my Odyssey, where I got a bunch of my old videos posted there that are no longer on YouTube. But the most obvious scandal bared by the emails and text messages contained on Hunter Biden's laptop concern the influence profiteering Joe Biden apparently participated in during his 8 years as Barack Obama's vice president, with Ukraine featuring heavily in the pay-to-play scheme. What a coincidence. They're at war right now. But the New York Times, and is likely get ahead of the story coverage from last week, touched on the Ukrainian angle by noting Hunter's connection to Burisma and then quoting emails recovered from the laptop indicating the younger Biden leveraged his dad's position then as vice president. But the Times surface coverage of the Burisma scandal doesn't nearly suffice. Surface it was. The Times made no mention of Hunter's appointment to Burisma Holdings board of directors at a reported salary of $50,000 a month during his dad time as vice president. Hunter Biden had no experience in energy, and I talk about that a lot. He doesn't know anything about energy. So a deep dive on the entire Biden-Burisma connection is the first step. Because, again, no one is going to pay anyone $50,000 a month for something that they have absolutely no experience in. The only connection that he has is that his father is the vice president. So 2, China gets in the game. Ukraine is but a patch on the influence peddling undertaken by Hunter on behalf of the big guy, as the younger Biden referred to his dad. China also played a large role in the family enterprise, as demonstrated by, again, passing coverage in November 2021. Then, the Times reported in brief that Hunter Biden's joint global equity firm, the Bohai Harvest Equity Investment Fund, had helped coordinate the purchase by a Chinese mining company of the world's largest cobalt source in the Congo. The deal gave China control over a huge chunk of the world's known cobalt supplies, an ingredient necessary to make electric car batteries. And the role of Hunter Biden's company, Bohai, in the transaction again connects directly to Joe Biden, as Hunter reportedly launched the new joint enterprise with Chinese business partners less than 2 weeks after he traveled to China on Air Force One. On Air Force Two with then President, Vice President Father. In exploring this scandal, the press needs to push beyond the emails recovered from Hunter's abandoned laptop and do what Tucker Carlson did when the pay-to-play scandal first surfaced. Talk to Hunter's former business partner, Tony Bublowski. Bublowski provides further proof that the scandal reaches the top of the Biden family. I believe that's the guy that Trump brought to the debate. I believe. Okay, 3. Moscow, Kazakhstan, and more. While Ukraine and China likely hold the most significant revelations, once those threads are pulled, investigators should move on to Moscow, which, according to a Senate report, holds another possible scandal. That's right, Russia. That report documents that Hunter also received a combined $3.5 million from the wife of the former Moscow mayor and a Kazakhstan investor and several other individuals. After all, there is no reason to think that a person willing to let his son sell access to the vice president of the United States will close the money train to just a few countries. I mean, it's obvious. 4. Ukraine's firing the prosecutor investment Burisma. I've done a whole video on that, but with the elite media now deeming coverage of Hunter's laptop appropriate, the public knows the Burisma scandal was real and threatened to be speculatory, devastating. Is threatened to be spectacularly devastating to the elder Biden. That makes questions concerning then Vice President Joe Biden's demands that Ukraine fire the state prosecutor who was reportedly investigating Burisma right to revisit. I don't know if they will, but that prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, was fired according to statements Joe Biden made during a 2018 event after Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion loan guarantee if the Ukrainian government refused to act Shokin. A video of the event you can find on YouTube. While the Obama administration attempted to spin Biden's push for the firing of Shokin by claiming that the international community had demanded Ukraine terminate the state prosecutor, a State Department official contradicted that claim during congressional testimony. George Kent, who worked on issues related to Ukraine at the State Department, reportedly told lawmakers it was the Obama administration that spearheaded the efforts to have Shokin removed from his position as the top federal prosecutor in Ukraine. Biden needs to answer questions anew over his threats to withhold money from Ukraine unless the country removed the state prosecutor responsible for investigating Burisma. Democrats have impeached the president for less. 5. Obama-Biden administration ignoring conflicts of interest. Biden also needs to answer questions about his decision to ignore the clear conflicts of interest involved with him negotiating with the same countries Hunter Biden was shaking down. Of course, since the big guy was in on the scam, bowing out over conflicts of interest is the lesser of the evils, but it's still worth investigating to assess how Biden handled the concerns raised by the Obama administration State Department. Here, the testimony of a State Department official charged with issues related to Ukraine again proves significant. Kent told lawmakers that after learning Hunter sat on the board of Burisma, he raised concerns with the vice president's office about the relationship. Quote, I raised my concerns that I had heard that Hunter Biden was on the board of a company owned by somebody that the U.S. government has spent money trying to get tens of millions of dollars back, and that would create the perception of a conflict of interest. Kent testified before House members in October 2019, quote, the message that I recall hearing back was that the vice president's son, Bo, was dying of cancer and that there was no further bandwidth to deal with family related issues at the time. That was the end of that conversation. The question for now, President Biden, then, is whether anyone in his office raised concerns about the clear conflict of interest with him personally, and if so, why did Biden ignore the problem? I'm sure someone had to mention it to him. They always mention, especially if it's optics, if something has to do with optics, they let them know, like, hey, this might look like it's a conflict of interest, but he totally ignored it, obviously. 6. The intelligence community's briefing of Biden. Another scandal reaching President Biden's concerns his interactions with the intelligence community after the FBI and presumably the CIA and other such agencies learned in December 2019 that Hunter Biden believed Russians had stolen Hunter's laptop, rendering the Biden susceptible to blackmail. Here, it is important to understand that there are two separate Hunter Biden laptops at issue. How many laptops did this guy have to lose? The most discussed laptop was actually the second laptop. That laptop was the one Hunter Biden abandoned at a Delaware repair shop. Then, after the repair shop owner discovered concerning materials on the MacBook, the store owner handed it to the FBI in December of 2019. The owner of the repair shop, however, had first made a copy of the hard drive, which resulted in the New York Post coverage in October 2020. But there was another laptop. One Hunter believed Russians had stolen from him when he was binging on drugs with prostitutes in the summer of 2018 in Las Vegas. While the public did not learn about the existence of the earlier laptop until August 2021, the FBI knew about it as early as December 2019 when they took possession of the second laptop Hunter Biden had left at the repair store. Among other material contained on the second laptop was a video of Biden recounting the circumstances of his first laptop disappearing with some Russians. Significantly, on that video, Hunter Biden said his first laptop contained a ton of material, leaving him susceptible to blackmail since his father was running for president and Hunter talked about it all the time. It is inconceivable that the FBI and intelligence communities did not brief Biden on this discovery and the risk of blackmail, given that the former FBI Director James Comey briefed Trump on the fake Steele dossier. On second thought, that is the initial question reporters should ask the president. Did the FBI brief you, Mr. President, on the fact that Hunter believed Russians had stolen a laptop containing compromising information? We'll see if they ask that question. From there, an inquiring press should investigate to ensure that Joe Biden did not direct the intelligence community to bury this national security risk to protect himself or his son. 7. Possible collusions to interfere in the 2020 election. An honest press should also investigate whether now President Biden or anyone connected to his then presidential campaign pressure reporters, media outlets, or companies such as Twitter and Facebook to censor the Hunter Biden story. I'm sure they did. And what about the 50 former intelligence officials who publicly declared the laptop resembled a Russian disinformation campaign? Something clearly untrue. Did Biden or his campaign coordinate with those individuals, several of whom had endorsed the Democratic candidate in the release of the letter? Given that polls show that 17% of Joe Biden's voters would not have voted for him in 2020 if they had known about the Biden family scandals, the collective burying of the laptop scandal represents the most significant interference in elections ever seen in our country. So, did Biden or his campaign have anything to do with the decision to kill the New York Post reporting on Hunter's MacBook? And what about the 50 former intelligence officials? I mean, that's what I'm really interested to know. From there, the follow-ups flow quickly. Quote, who was involved in the push to silence the story? And who were the executives or journalists who bowed to the demands? Who coordinated with the intelligence officials? Where and were any threats or promises made? What were they? What did Joe Biden know? What about the Democrats and the Democrat National Committee? Those are the questions that need to be asked promptly. 8. Joe Biden is a lying dog-faced pony soldier. The final Joe Biden scandal the press should push President Biden to answer concerns his lies to the American public, while there are too many to count to merit further questioning. First, the media should demand Biden answer for lying to the country when he seethed, quote, I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period. The evidence overwhelmingly showed that Biden not only knew of the family business deals, but was part of them. The second bold-faced fabrication from Biden came during his pre-election debate with Trump, when Trump raised the laptop from hell, when Trump asked if he was saying that the laptop is now another Russia hoax. The then Democrat candidate replied, that's exactly what I was told. Unlikely. Biden also countered with this doozy, which again raises the question of whether Biden had a role in the intelligence official statement. He said, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except him and his good friend Rudy Giuliani. And we know that's a lie. We know that's a bold-faced lie. But we can now add the New York Times to Giuliani. It remains to be seen, though, whether the old gray lady and the other legacy outlets will report on the further scandals the laptop revealed, the ones that reached the president of the United States. But I don't really think anyone in the mainstream media have the galls to actually go in and ask these questions. Maybe Peter Doocy, but he gets pushed back. But we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. Do you think that people are actually gonna that the media are actually gonna ask these questions? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.